The stars shone bright against the darkness of space as the UES Valiant moved slowly beyond the orbit of Neptune. Captain Frank Mason stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main screen. After 15 years in space, not much surprised him anymore. But today was different. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Lisa Garcia, her fingers moving quickly over her communication panel. "It's not one of ours." Frank walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" "Regular patterns. Definitely not natural." Lisa looked up at him, her eyes wide. "Sir, I think it's artificial. Non-human." The bridge went quiet. After centuries of wondering, humanity might finally have its answer. They were not alone. Hours turned into days as Lisa worked to decode the message. The crew barely slept, too excited by the possibility of first contact. When she finally cracked it, the message was simple. "We see you. We come in peace." Earth governments moved quickly. They formed a team led by Ambassador Eric Powell, a calm man with gray hair and kind eyes. His job was to meet these aliens, called the Zentari, and start peaceful talks. "This is humanity's greatest moment," Powell said at his last press conference on Earth, "the beginning of a new chapter for our species." The meeting point was set in space near Pluto. The UES Valiant would take Ambassador Powell and his team there. Captain Frank didn't like being so far from help, but orders were orders. When they arrived, a single alien ship waited. It was beautiful, with a smooth silver hull that reflected the distant sun. Frank watched as Powell and his team boarded the shuttle that would take them to meet the aliens. "Wish me luck, Captain," Powell said with a smile before the shuttle door closed. Frank had a bad feeling, but he pushed it down. This was history in the making. The shuttle was halfway to the alien ship when everything went wrong. "Captain, 3 new ships just appeared," yelled Sam Miller from the radar station. They were hidden somehow. Before Frank could even open his mouth to order shields up, the alien ships fired. The diplomatic shuttle exploded in a ball of fire and metal. Ambassador Powell and his entire team were gone in an instant. "Get us out of here now," Frank shouted as the alien weapons turned toward the Valiant. The ship's engines roared to life as the first hits shook the bridge. 2 crew members fell to the floor as panels exploded around them. The Valiant raced away, taking hit after hit. "They're following us, sir," Lisa shouted over the alarms. "Jump to light speed as soon as we can," Frank ordered, holding onto his chair as the ship shook again. For 3 terrifying hours, the Valiant ran for its life. The alien ships were faster, but the human crew knew their ship better. They used asteroids for cover, made quick turns the aliens didn't expect, and finally, when they reached safe distance, jumped to light speed. As Earth came into view days later, Frank looked at his hurt crew and damaged ship. They had survived to bring a terrible message. Humanity's first contact had been a trap. Later, they learned the truth. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Conclave, a group of 7 powerful space-traveling species. They saw new space travelers like humans as threats. The attack was meant to scare humanity back to Earth for good. The Zentari leader sent a final message. "Submit to Conclave control or face destruction. You have 6 months to remove all human presence from space beyond your moon." Instead of fear, the message sparked something else in human hearts, something the aliens didn't expect. Anger. Admiral Diane Ross stood before the United Earth government with her head held high, but her heart was heavy. The room was silent as she finished telling them about the attack. 26 good people died, she said, her voice firm despite her grief. Ambassador Powell and his entire team are gone. The Valiant lost 4 crew members during their escape. President William Grant stood up slowly. At 70 years old, he had seen many things in his life, but never this. "They came in peace," he said, "and were met with violence." Screens around the world showed the same meeting. In homes and public squares, billions of humans watched as their leaders faced the truth. They were not alone in the universe. and they were not welcome. That night, cities across Earth lit candles for the dead. The world mourned together. But mourning soon turned to action. 3 days later, Admiral Ross called Jack Spencer at his small cabin by the lake. Jack had been one of the best military minds in the space fleet before he quit 5 years ago, after a fight with pirates in the asteroid belt had gone wrong. "We need you back, Jack," she said without saying hello. Jack looked out at the peaceful water. "I'm done with fighting." "The conclave won't be coming to talk," Ross replied. "They'll be coming to end us. We need people who know how to win against bad odds." After a long silence, Jack sighed. "When do I start?" All across Earth, similar scenes played out. Old soldiers returned to duty. Factories that made cars now made ship parts. Countries that had fought each other for centuries now shared their military secrets. Dr. Susan Hughes worked day and night studying the few images they had of the Zentari. "Look at their ships," she told Admiral Ross, pointing to the smooth shapes. "Everything is about showing power. They don't even hide their weapons." She showed Ross and Jack videos of the attack. "See how they waited until our shuttle was in the open. They wanted us to see our people die. This is about making us afraid." Jack nodded. "So how do we fight an enemy like that?" Susan pushed her glasses up. "They expect us to beg for mercy. We need to show them that humans don't scare easily." In a huge room deep under the Rocky Mountains, President Grant met with leaders from every nation on Earth. They argued for hours about what to do. Some wanted to give up space exploration to save Earth. Others wanted to fight right away. Finally, Grant raised his hand for quiet. "The stars are our future," he said. "If we give up now, we give up forever. Humanity will not bow to bullies, no matter what planet they're from." The vote was unanimous. Earth would fight. Project Deterrent began the next day. Hidden bases on Mars and in the asteroid belt started building new kinds of ships. Scientists worked on weapons that had been only theories before. Military training centers filled with volunteers. Admiral Ross put Jack in charge of planning their response. "We have 5 months before their deadline," she told him. "Make them count." Jack looked at the star map showing Earth, so small against the vastness of space. "They think they know what humans are like," he said quietly. "They think we're weak because we wanted peace." He zoomed in on the spot where the attack happened. They're about to learn how wrong they are. In her lab, Dr. Hughes made a breakthrough. By studying the attack patterns, she realized something important about the aliens. "They follow strict rules in battle," she explained to Ross. "They attack in formation, by rank. They're not used to surprise." For the first time since the attack, Admiral Ross smiled. "Then we'll give them the surprise of their lives." Across the solar system, humanity prepared. The conclave had started this fight. Humans would finish it. Deep inside the asteroid belt, hidden from prying eyes, humans worked day and night. In a hollowed-out space rock called Cirrus, Chief Engineer Alan Ward watched as his team tested a new engine. "Fire it up," he ordered, his voice steady despite the risk. The engine glowed blue, then white, then a color no one had words for. The power readings jumped so high that 2 sensors broke, but it worked. Alan smiled for the first time in weeks. "We did it," he said to his second-in-command. "The G-neutralizer works." Normal engines couldn't push ships too fast because the force would crush the humans inside. But Alan's team had created something new, a drive that let ships move at amazing speeds while the people inside felt nothing. "The conclave ships are faster than ours," Alan explained later to Admiral Ross and Jack Spencer. "Or they were. Now we can turn so quickly they won't believe it." Jack nodded. "Speed is good, but we need teeth too." That's where Dr. Olivia Klein came in. In a lab under the Pacific Ocean, she had spent 10 years working on a weapon called the Helios Array. Earth's leaders had called it too dangerous before. Now, they were desperate. "It finds the connections between molecules and breaks them," Olivia explained as she showed Jack her creation. We can target specific materials, like the metal in alien ship hulls. Jack watched the test with wide eyes. The small version of the weapon hit a piece of metal like the kind it found in the wreckage of the alien attack. The metal didn't melt or explode. It simply fell apart into dust. "Why was this banned?" he asked. Olivia looked down. "Because it could be used against cities, against people." Jack put his hand on her shoulder. "We'll only use it on ships. You have my word." While the scientists built new weapons, Colonel Ben Murphy trained soldiers in a different way of fighting. In a space station orbiting Earth's moon, men and women learned to fight in zero gravity. "Aliens don't move like us," Ben told his space marines as they floated in the training room. "Their bones and muscles are different. That gives us an edge if we learn to use it." Day after day, the Marines practiced until they could fight without gravity as easily as with it. They learned to use the special guns that worked in space. They studied the few pictures of the Centauri to find weak spots. But the most important work happened in a small room in Geneva. There, a team led by Dr. Peter Kim studied pieces of the Centauri ship that the Valiant had managed to capture during its escape. "Their shields are strongest at the front," Peter reported to Admiral Ross, "but there's a weak spot near their engine exhaust. Hit them there, and the whole shield system fails." He showed her something else, a small device that gave off a strange signal. "This is part of how they talk to each other in battle. We've figured out how to jam it." Admiral Ross gathered all the project leaders 6 weeks before the conclave deadline. "Show me what we have," she ordered. One by one, they reported their progress. Faster ships, better weapons, trained soldiers, knowledge of enemy weaknesses. "It's not enough," Jack said when they finished. Everyone looked at him in surprise. "We can hurt them, yes," he continued. "Maybe even win a battle. But they have 7 species, who knows how many worlds. We need to do more than fight. We need to make them never want to fight us again." Admiral Ross smiled slowly. "You have an idea." Jack nodded. "We don't wait for them to come to us. We take the fight to them. We show them exactly what happens when they threaten Earth." The room was quiet as everyone thought about his words. "It's risky," Admiral Ross finally said. "It's our only chance," Jack replied. "They need to learn that humans aren't easy prey. We need to send them a message they'll never forget." Admiral Ross stood up. "Then let's write that message in a language the whole galaxy will understand." The UES Defiant was the most beautiful ship Jack Spencer had ever seen. Sleek and powerful, it waited in the dock above Mars, its hull gleaming under the work lights. 5 other ships floated nearby, smaller but just as deadly. "She's ready, Captain," said the dock chief, handing Jack the access codes. "Or should I say, Admiral Spencer." Jack looked at the new uniform he wore, still not used to the Admiral's stars on his shoulders. "Captain will do fine for now." Inside, the ship hummed with activity as the crew prepared for the mission. The best pilots, engineers, and soldiers from Earth and its colonies had been chosen for this task. None of them had slept well the night before launch. They all knew what was at stake. On the bridge, Jack met his command team. First Officer Mary Collins had been top of her class at the Space Academy. Chief Engineer Paul Foster had helped build the G-neutralizer engines. Weapons Officer Nancy Miller was quiet but had the steadiest hands in the fleet. Communications Officer Ryan Dias spoke 7 Earth languages and had helped crack the Centauri communication codes. "Welcome aboard," Jack said to them. "In 3 days, we make history, one way or another." Admiral Ross came to see them off. She looked tired but determined. "The plan is simple," she told the captains of all 6 ships. "Travel to the edge of conclave space. Broadcast our message. Show them what we can do if necessary. Then come home." She paused. "But if they attack, you have permission to fight back. Hard." In his quarters that night, Jack recorded the message that would either save humanity or start a war they might not win. He had never been good with words, but these needed to be perfect. "To the Galactic Conclave," he began, looking straight into the camera. Your unprovoked attack on peaceful representatives of Earth will not go unanswered. We come not to wage war, but to deliver a warning. He leaned forward slightly. Humanity will not bow. Humanity will not surrender its sovereignty. Any further aggression against Earth or its colonies will be met with the full force of our arsenal. We are armed, and we are ready. Dr. Susan Hughes had helped write the message. It needs to be firm, but not a threat, she had explained. Show strength without promising violence. That's the language they'll understand. The small fleet left Mars orbit the next morning. The G-neutralizer engines pushed them faster than any human ships had gone before. Stars blurred past the windows as they raced toward the edge of the solar system. 4 days to target coordinates, Mary reported as they passed Neptune's orbit. Jack nodded. Begin combat drills. I want everyone ready for anything. For 4 days, the crew practiced fighting scenarios. Engineers ran simulations of damage control. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers. Weapons teams drilled until they could target and fire in seconds. At night, Jack studied the star maps. The spot they had chosen was just at the edge of what they believed was conclave space, close enough to get their attention, but not so deep that they couldn't escape if needed. Approaching target coordinates, Mary announced on the 4th day. Sensors are clear. No conclave ships detected yet. Jack stood from his captain's chair. All ships, take defensive formation. Shield status. Shields at maximum, Paul reported. Weapons. Nancy looked up from her console. Helios array charged and ready. Standard weapons online. Jack took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide the future of humanity. Begin broadcast on all frequencies. Ryan's fingers moved across his panel. Broadcast ready, sir. Let's see if they're listening, Jack said. Send the message. The words traveled out into space, a challenge to the powers that had thought humans would be easy to frighten. The crew waited in tense silence. Then the sensors lit up. Multiple ships detected, Mary shouted, coming in fast from 3 directions. Jack's face hardened. Steady, everyone. Remember your training. As the alien vessels appeared on the view screen, Jack thought of Earth, so vulnerable and beautiful. Let's show them what happens when they threaten our home. The alien ships moved like hungry sharks, trying to circle the human fleet. Jack counted 15 vessels of different sizes. 3 were huge, likely the main battleships. The others were smaller but still bigger than the Defiant. They're trying to surround us, Mary said, her voice calm despite the danger. On the main screen, one of the alien ships glowed brighter than the others. Its hull had strange markings that the computer translated as Victory Path. That's their leader, Jack said. Zox Talon's flagship. The alien commander's face appeared on the screen. The Zentari had gray-blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When he spoke, his sharp teeth flashed. Humans, Zox Talon said, his voice translated by the computer. You trespass in conclave space. Surrender now and return to your planet under our guard. This is your only warning. Jack stood tall. You've heard our message. We will not surrender our right to the stars. Return to your territory and leave Earth alone. The alien made a sound like rocks grinding together. Jack realized it was laughter. Your species is young and foolish, Zox Talon said. You cannot hope to stand against powers that ruled the stars before your kind left the trees. To show his point, the alien flagship fired a shot that passed just in front of the Defiant. The energy beam was bigger than anything humans had seen before. Jack kept his face calm, though his heart raced. All ships, execute Operation Thunderclap. Now, like dancers following perfect steps, the 6 Earth ships suddenly shot off in different directions at speeds that made the alien ships look slow. The conclave vessels tried to follow but couldn't match their speed or sharp turns. They're confused, Ryan reported, listening to the alien communications. They didn't think our ships could move like this. Jack nodded. Nancy, Target their flagship with the Helios array. Aim for the engine exhaust point. Nancy's fingers moved quickly over her panel. Target locked. Jack took a deep breath. Fire. A beam of golden light shot from the Defiant, so bright it was hard to look at. It hit the back of Zox Talon's ship exactly where they had planned. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien ship's shields flickered and died. Direct hit, Nancy shouted. Their shields are down. But the battle was just beginning. The other alien ships fired at the human fleet. The UES Dauntless, commanded by Captain Paula White, took a bad hit to its side. Dauntless is drawing their fire, Mary reported. They're protecting us. Jack made a hard choice. All ships, focus fire on the smaller alien vessels. Clear a path. The human ships fired together, their weapons hitting the aliens where they were weakest. 3 enemy ships exploded in bright flashes. On the other side of the battle, the Dauntless turned directly toward the largest alien ships. Captain White, what are you doing? Jack asked over the comm. Paula's face appeared on the screen. She was bleeding from a cut on her forehead, and smoke filled her bridge. Giving you a shot at their leader, Admiral. Make it count. Before Jack could stop her, the Dauntless accelerated toward the alien ships. Energy beams hit it from all sides, but it kept going until it crashed into one of the large battle cruisers. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. No, Jack shouted, but he couldn't stop to mourn. Get us positioned to hit their flagship. Now. The Defiant raced through the gap created by the Dauntless's sacrifice. They came up behind Zox Talon's ship, which was still trying to restart its shields. Fire everything we have, Jack ordered. The Defiant unleashed all its weapons at once. The alien flagship's hull tore open like paper. Inside, fires burned as air escaped into space. They're retreating, Ryan shouted. All remaining ships are pulling back. But not all of them made it. A small Centauri scout ship, damaged in the fight, drifted nearby. Should we finish it? Nancy asked. Jack shook his head. No, capture it. I want prisoners. As the human fleet regrouped, Jack looked at the stars around them. They had won, but at a terrible cost. The Dauntless and its crew were gone. 2 other ships had taken heavy damage. But they had done what they came to do. They had delivered their message, not just in words, but in action. Humanity would not go quietly. 3 Centauri sat in a special room on the Defiant. The walls could withstand an explosion, but they were designed to look comfortable. The aliens weren't chained, but guards watched them closely. Dr. Susan Hughes entered slowly, carrying a device that translated their language. The tallest alien had silver stripes on his gray-blue skin. His name was Krenvox, and he was a sub-herald, an important officer in their fleet. Are you going to kill us? Krenvox asked, his 4 eyes blinking at different times. Susan shook her head. No, we want to talk. The Centauri seemed surprised. Talk? After a battle? Yes, Susan said. We need to understand each other better. For 3 days, Susan spent hours with the aliens. She learned about their culture, their beliefs, and most importantly, about the Conclave. When Admiral Ross arrived from Earth, Susan was ready with her report. The Conclave isn't what we thought, Susan explained as they walked to meet the prisoners. It's 7 species, yes, but they don't all agree on everything. Admiral Ross raised an eyebrow. Go on. 3 species, including the Centauri, wanted to attack us right away. 2 others wanted to watch us longer. And 2 actually wanted to welcome us peacefully. Inside the meeting room, Krenvox stood as Admiral Ross entered. He made a formal gesture with his upper arms. You fight well, he said simply. Many believe humans were weak because you sought peace first. Ross sat across from him. Why does the Conclave attack new space-traveling species? What are you afraid of? Krenvox was quiet for a moment. Then he told a story that changed everything. 10,000 years ago, a species called the Dravik discovered space travel. They seemed peaceful at first. The conclave of that time welcomed them. Within 50 years, the Dravik had built weapons that could destroy entire planets. They killed billions before they were stopped. He looked directly at Ross. Since then, the conclave contains new species until we know they are safe. Some believe this means control. Others believe in caution and watching. Ross leaned forward. And which do you believe? I followed orders, Krenvox said. But after seeing your people fight, and then spare our lives, I questioned those orders. That night, Admiral Ross made a bold decision. She called the fleet captains and Dr. Hughes to the Defiance meeting room. We're sending the prisoners home, she announced. Everyone looked surprised. With a message, Ross continued, and a gift. The next day, Krenbox and the other two Zentari were brought to their repaired scout ship. Ross handed them a data crystal. This shows exactly what weapons we have, she explained, and what we chose not to use. Krenvox took the crystal, confusion clear on his alien face. We could have destroyed your homeworlds, Ross said. We had the coordinates. We had the weapons. We chose not to. She handed him a second crystal. This is an invitation. We want a proper meeting. All conclave species and Earth, talking as equals. The Supreme Herald will not agree, Krenvox warned. Ross smiled. Tell him we'll be coming anyway, and remind him what happened the last time the conclave underestimated humans. After the aliens left, Jack found Ross looking out at the stars. That was a big risk, he said, letting them go, showing them what we can do. Ross nodded. The bigger risk would be letting fear drive us to become what they think we are. And if they attack again? Jack asked. Then we'll be ready, Ross said firmly. But first, we give peace one more chance. As the Earth fleet headed home, carrying their captured alien technology and their battle scars, a message traveled through conclave space. Some received it with anger, others with fear, but a few heard it with hope. 3 months later, sensors around Earth detected incoming ships. But this time, they came with their weapons powered down and their communication channels open. The next chapter of human history was about to begin. The alien ships hung in space near Earth's moon, their strange shapes unlike anything humans had built. 7 large vessels representing each conclave species waited while a small human ship approached. On that ship, newly promoted Admiral Jack Spencer adjusted his dress uniform. Next to him stood Dr. Susan Hughes, Chief Engineer Alan Ward, and President Heather Collins, who had been elected after President Grant suffered a heart attack. Remember, President Collins said softly, we want peace, but we won't back down on our independence. Jack nodded. They need to understand we're here to stay. The meeting place was Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt. Inside a huge dome built just for this event, humans waited nervously as the alien leaders entered the room. The Zentari came first, led by Supreme Herald Zox Talon himself. His face showed no emotion as he looked at the humans who had defeated his fleet. Behind him came representatives from 6 other species, each stranger than the last. The Moraiki were tall and thin with skin that changed color as they moved. The Vrel looked like walking plants with eyes on stalks. The Durrani had 4 arms and bodies covered in fur. The Ichtha were short, but had long necks and wide eyes. The Nozari floated above the ground using technology built into their suits. And the Enteri, smallest of all, had skin that glowed softly in different colors. President Collins stepped forward. Welcome to human space. We meet today as equals, seeking understanding and peace. Zox Talon made the formal gesture with his arms. The conclave recognizes the unexpected strength of humanity. The words seemed difficult for him to say. The talks were tense at first. The Zentari, Durrani, and Nozari, the 3 species that had wanted to attack Earth, spoke little and made demands. They wanted limits on human weapons and ships. They wanted observers on Earth. Jack was about to object when the Enteri representative, a small female named Liason, spoke up. "My people opposed the attack on your diplomatic mission," she said, her skin glowing blue with emotion. "What was done to your people was wrong." The room went quiet. No conclave species had ever admitted another was wrong before. 3,000 years we have followed the old ways, she continued, fearing every new species because of ancient history. Perhaps it is time for change. Over the next 3 days, the two sides talked more openly. Humans showed the aliens their art, music, and history. The aliens shared stories of their own worlds. Slowly, understanding grew. On the final day, they signed what became known as the Ceres Accords. The agreement was simple. Humans would keep their independence and right to explore space. In return, they would share their technology with the Conclave and help establish new rules for contact with future space-traveling species. "No more automatic fear," President Collins said at the signing. "No more attacks on peaceful missions. We will meet new species with open hands, not weapons." Even Zox Talon had to agree. "The humans have proven themselves. Differently than expected," he admitted. As the alien delegates prepared to leave, Leah Sen approached Jack privately. "Your warning message has changed the course of galactic history," she said, her skin now glowing a warm gold color. "For thousands of years, fear has driven our policies. Perhaps now, mutual respect can take its place." 1 month later, the UES Defiant prepared for a new mission. Its weapons remained, but its cargo bays now carried gifts and scientific equipment. Jack stood on the bridge, watching Earth grow smaller as they headed out. "Where to first, Admiral?" asked Mary Collins, still his trusted first officer. "The Entari homeworld," Jack replied. "Then the others. It's time we properly met our neighbors." On Earth, children looked up at the night sky with new understanding. The stars were no longer just beautiful lights. They were places to visit, full of strange new people to meet. President Collins' words echoed across human space as the Defiant jumped to light speed. "Today marks the beginning of humanity's true place among the stars. We came armed and ready for war, but we'll stay for peace, progress, and the promise of a better galaxy for all."